Welcome back, everybody, and I have a brand new non-Warlock build from a Warlock main. This week we're going to be focusing on Golden Gun Hunter, and the reason for that is my favorite exotic in the entire game got a catalyst. If you don't know what my favorite exotic is, I've talked about it a couple times. Malfeasance. It got Vorpal this season. It's nuts. I love it. Anyways, has Unstop intrinsically, which is helpful as always. It's great for boss damage, but what makes it like an S tier exotic in my opinion, its interaction with Lucky Pants. If you don't know, Lucky Pants makes hand cannons do more damage after each successive hit, which when paired with Malfeasance, which has a high rate of fire, and more boss damage now with Vorpal, and the explosions increase its damage again, and does more damage against Taken, and blighted enemies with Wither Horde. It just gets kind of wacky. That's why I love Malfeasance, and this build really pushes that. For this build, I decided to use the Marksman Golden Gun, and part of the reason is it gives me a better excuse to run triple kinetic surges, because Golden Gun actually gets a damage buff from kinetic surges. So does Malfeasance. So it just works out well for the two. You should be able to pull out Malfeasance instead of like your energy weapon or your heavy weapon, dump it until it's out of luck, then you reload, then pop Golden Gun, spread out the shots a little bit. I think you have to for the timing to be right, but once you're out of super, you should have the Lucky Pants buff again, meaning that you can lay into them with Malfeasance again after Golden Gunning them. I got it to work a few times, and I really didn't figure out that I was doing it until after, and I realized how much fun it was to do. But yeah, super fun combo to do that. Next, I picked Acrobat's Dodge. Probably a better choice would be Marksman Dodge, but what Acrobat's Dodge allows me to do is if I'm not Radiant going into a boss fight, or it drops off in the middle of it and I don't have any way to proc it at the moment, I could just Acrobat's Dodge, make myself Radiant, walk around the corner, and Malfeasance. That's the main reason I got it, is that quick damage buff that's easy to proc. Yes, I do have other ways to proc it in this build, but that's like the main way. Marksman's Dodge is probably better if you're sure you'll have Radiant all the time. Next up, I just want to talk about my aspects. Knock them down and on your mark. These are going to help us get 5 fragment slots, which is always helpful. Gunpowder Gamble is great, I love it, but it really just doesn't fit with this build anyways, so these two are better options. Really doesn't matter what they do, but improving Golden Gun is always helpful. And then slight buffs to our weapons in a more weapon focused build can't be a bad thing. So let's move on to our fragments. We have Ember of Torches, Ember of Searing, Ember of Resolve, Ember of Beams, and Ember of Solace. There's a lot of reasons I picked these. Some of them make you Radiant, make Radiant last longer, things like that. Next, of course, our weapons. Malfeasance is the big one, but for my other two weapons, I used Retrace Path and Cry Mutiny. If you don't have Cry Mutiny, it should be in the Monument to Lost Light. It's a heavy grenade launcher, has Incandescent and Vorpal on it. Great option for this build, because it's going to spread Scorch, which will make you Radiant, which will help you out with Malfeasance damage. And then I used Retrace Path as my more ad clear weapon, while Malfeasance takes the spot of a normal special weapon, and this season this allows me to have Overload and Unstop, and yeah, that's always helpful to have. And of course our exotic armor will be Lucky Pants. Armor mods aren't too important here. You'll probably want to have some solar siphons on you, or harmonic siphons would probably be better because they're cheaper. And then elemental charge might help, but I would rather have the 3 kinetic surges in my boots than anything else, because I don't need scav mods. And honestly, solar sprites aren't that great. I mean, fire sprites are cool and they're good, but stasis shards are so much easier to generate that I kind of don't feel like using elemental charge all that much other than using it in stasis builds. We're going to want time dilation to increase that time on kinetic surge, and Reaper to make more orbs because we're dodging with Radiant and then killing things immediately after. So it just works. Now, am I saying that this build will carry you 3 GMs and every single piece of endgame content out there? No. The builds I make rarely do. These are just fun little concept builds that you can use in your day-to-day game. If you want to have fun with it, go have fun with it. If you want to stick to purely meta, this isn't the build for you. I'm sorry about that, but it just isn't. I did this to have fun. So if you want to try this build out, you're more than welcome to. It's super fun in my opinion. And if you have any builds you would like me to look at or whatever, just drop them down below. I like builds that focus on just having fun and weird and cool interactions, not necessarily the most meta builds, but if you have some cool meta builds that you think people aren't realizing the strength of, let me know and I'll look at it and maybe make a video on it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Check out that pinned comment for more stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.